She was sitting in a foggy, parked car with another man, just inches away from crossing a line she could never uncross. For a split second, she wanted to. Welcome back to Lina K's Hub. Today, I am sharing a raw, honest story sent in by a member of our community about a woman who nearly threw away a 7-year marriage, not because she was a bad person, but because she had become so numb to her own life. Stick around until the very end, because the way her husband reacted to her confession will completely change how you look at forgiveness. She told me that for a long time, she was just on autopilot. She was waking up, going to work, doing the dishes, and falling asleep without ever really feeling alive or present. She didn't realize how deeply she had checked out of her own life until she made one small decision to shake up her routine. It seemed harmless at the time, but sometimes stepping off your set path doesn't just give you a new view, it forces you to look at everything you've been trying to ignore. She had been married to her husband for 7 years. He was kind, brilliant, and incredibly patient, the kind of man who remembers how you take your tea and never forgets an anniversary. Their life was peaceful, safe, and utterly predictable. They didn't fight. There was no screaming, no slamming doors. There was just a quiet, growing distance that filled the rooms of their house. She loved him, or at least she fiercely loved the memory of who they used to be. But love can easily turn into a polite arrangement if you aren't careful. They had slowly become roommates sharing a bed. Then, she decided to join a weekend photography workshop to reconnect with an old hobby. Her husband supported her, but he didn't offer to join or ask many questions. So she went by herself. Clenching her outdated camera, she felt totally out of place among the eager strangers. That was when she met the instructor. He was passionate, intense, and had this way of looking at the world that made everything seem electric. When he looked at her work, he told her she had a real eye for capturing emotion and pleaded with her not to let it go to waste. For the first time in years, someone was really seeing her. At first, it was just about the art. It was thrilling to create again, to laugh, and to feel that creative spark waking up inside of her. But slowly, the boundaries started to soften. The weekend ended, but they kept meeting up to take photos around the city. They would talk for hours over coffee. He texted her throughout the week, telling her she was fascinating and that she deserved to be inspired every day. She lied to herself, calling it a deep friendship. But the truth is, attention is a powerful drug when you have been starving for it. If you are relating to this feeling of just going through the motions, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Here at Lina K's Hub, we talk about the real, messy parts of life and relationships that no one else wants to admit. Now, back to her story. One rainy evening, they were sitting in his parked car reviewing photos. The windows were fogged up. He turned to her, his face just inches from hers, and whispered that she didn't have to stay in a life that felt like a waiting room. Her heart was pounding. She thought of her husband at home, probably keeping her dinner warm. For a split second, she wanted to lean in. She wanted to choose the excitement. But then a wave of clarity hit her. She pulled back, her hands trembling against her camera case. She realized that building a new life on the ruins of a lie wouldn't make her happy. It would just make her a runner. She drove home in total silence, guilt sitting heavy in her stomach. When she walked in, her husband was at the kitchen table, working late but waiting up for her. Looking at his face, the face of the man who had been her rock, she realized she had already betrayed him. Not with her body, but with her mind, her energy, and her secrets. The next day, she cut ties with the instructor. Then, she sat her husband down and told him the truth. Not about a physical affair, because it hadn't gone there, but about how lonely she had been. About how close she came to seeking a spark somewhere else because they had let theirs go out. She expected him to yell, but instead he just cried. And then he reached out and took her hand. It has been a year since that night. Rebuilding wasn't easy. It required uncomfortable conversations, tears, and admitting hard truths. They started actively dating each other again and talking about their fears. She realized that looking for something new is often just a shortcut to avoid fixing what is broken. True transformation doesn't come from running away to a fantasy. It comes from having the courage to stand still, look at the person who loves you, and do the hard work to make things right. I loved what she said at the very end of her message to me. She said if I could go back to that numb version of myself, I would tell her that she isn't empty. She is just disconnected. Don't look for fire in someone else's eyes. Look at what you already have and choose to light it up again. I want to hear from you now. Drop a comment below and let me know. Do you think a relationship can ever truly go back to normal after emotional cheating? Let's talk about it in the comments. If you have a story about finding yourself or overcoming a quiet struggle in your life, click the link in my description to send it into the hub. I would love to tell your story next. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video right here on Lina K's Hub.